Jesus. Just chewing like a cow chewing cud. I have gum in my mouth right now, and that's partly because I've had a cough all day. I think I've kind of got the crud from travel. Um, and I've been feeling a bit run down, so I've been resting a lot today. Anyway, y'all, hey, hi, hello. Um, I'm curious to know who you've been listening to lately. I've been getting back into Little Dragon, like listening to songs from like Naguma Rubber Band and it's just so good. So I've got like this Little Dragon song in my head. Um, but yeah, who are you listening to? Put some bands, some good music in the comments. I need some good, fresh, new music. But yeah, I have been thinking a lot about love. I just came back from Hawaii, and the Hawaii trip was to celebrate a friend's 10-year anniversary with her husband. 10 years from when they first met. They've been married for 2 years, and they decided to get a bunch of their closest friends and family together to celebrate with them. And it was incredible. It was so much fun. But it's made me think a lot about I'm like checking checking my nose because I've been blowing my nose, I've been sneezing. And so I'm like, do I have do I have anything on my face? It looks like I don't. Okay, I think we're in the clear. Um, but yeah, I've been thinking a lot about it and thinking about how my view of love has changed over the years. And yeah, I just want to talk about it a little bit because like I knew that solo travel was going to teach me about independence, right? And like agency and living the type of life that you want as a woman and blah blah blah. But I did not expect it to teach me as much as it has about love and community care and seeing the differences in how people in other cultures take care of each other, how they show love to each other, um, and how they view you, especially if you're a foreigner, and even more so if you are a Black woman like me. Oh, it can be really beautiful, depending on where you go, obviously, but it can be really beautiful. So, you know, like when I think about love in particular and the ways that it's shifted for me, I think about platonic love and how when I was younger, even 10 years younger, my focus was so intent on romantic love. And how over the years, especially as I've lived outside the United States, my focus has become more on the importance of platonic love, the importance of having really strong friendships and community, and feeling like, you've got people in your corner. Um, and I found it really interesting because, folks that I have met, a few weeks ago, a few months ago, whatever, upon my travels, they've become closer than people I've known since grade school. And when I think about this, I immediately think about when I got my wisdom teeth taken out. So I had first moved, this is when I first came down to Mexico. And I had met some women on a Facebook group, and they decided to start a book club. And I had just gotten into the book club and started hanging out with a couple of the women from that club. And I had started getting these really bad headaches, and my jaw was hurting, my teeth was hurting. So I went to a dentist. They did the X-rays, they did the thing. They said, "Dude, we got to get your wisdom teeth out." I am terrified of the dentist, by the way. And I'm down here alone. I don't have any friends or family. I don't have anyone that I can really, you know, go to lean on for this, like for assistance, for help, for. And so I called my friend and I was like, listen, I have to get my wisdom teeth taken out. And because I'm terrified, because I'm terrified of the dentist, I have asked to get anesthesia. But because I'm getting anesthesia, I'm going to be knocked out for the procedure. I can't, obviously, they were like, you can't drive yourself home. You're gonna need to have someone come pick you up. And I didn't really feel comfortable getting an Uber, right? Because if I'm only halfway conscious in the Uber, who knows what could happen, right? And so I asked her, I was like, "Would you mind coming with me?" And when I tell you I deliberated over asking her for several days because I was really nervous. I was like, "What if she thinks this is weird? What if she says no? What if I don't have anybody else that I can call? Like, what am I gonna do?" But it got to that point where I was like, "I have to ask, and if she says no, then, maybe I'll just shelve it until I can get a family member to come down and come with me." But she said yes, and she came and picked me up. And I'm telling you right now, if she had not, like, I think back and I can kind of remember snippets of the ride home, but I cannot remember the 15, 20-minute ride from the dentist's office to my house because I was in and out of consciousness the whole time. I remember, like having her come into my home, setting her up, getting her a glass of water, telling her, like, listen, you can get anything in the fridge, setting her up on the internet, probably going to the bathroom and vomiting because the anesthesia made me, like, as it was wearing off, it was making me sick. And this was hilarious. I actually called my mom as I, was feeling a little bit better later on, like a day or two later. And she was like, "Oh, yeah, anesthesia makes me sick too." I'm like, "Why could you tell me that? Why couldn't you tell me that before I, go and have this procedure?" She knew I was getting my teeth out, but she didn't tell me because I was like, "I'm going to be put under." She didn't think to tell me, "Oh, by the way, the anesthesia might make you nauseous." She didn't think to tell me that, but whatever. Um, Threw up, then went and laid down. She actually stayed for several hours that afternoon and checked in on me to make sure I was okay. She, made sure that I had ice for my jaw, made sure I had, like, soft food, and then she went on home. And when I tell you, I still owe her, like, that was such a sweet and kind gesture. But this is community care. This is platonic love. This is looking out for each other, It's so funny, like, when you find yourself in really unique positions like this, where you're a foreigner in a foreign place, you don't know people. It the relationships you form can become really, um, solid and, eh, you know, quite intimate quite quickly. And, like, this was someone, again, I'd only known her for a few weeks, and she really looked out for me. So, I also think about, to kinda shift things a little bit, I think also about my mom when she was sick back in, October, November of last year. And when we were seriously considering having her surgery here in Mexico, my best friend stepped up and was like, "Listen," because the hospitals here are different, especially if you're a foreigner, they expect payment before you leave, full payment for anything you have done before you leave that hospital. It's not like the States where you can get a bill later on and, they work with your insurance and it's this whole thing. No, they expect you because my mother, she didn't have insurance. She didn't have local insurance here. And so everything that we did for her, I paid for out of pocket. Um, and the surgery that she needed was emergency surgery and it was serious. And so it was quite expensive. But my best friend was like, "Listen, you can count on me for X amount of money." And it was a significant amount of money that she was going to loan us to take care of my mother. We decided to take her back home for a myriad of reasons, not because of the quality of care here. She received excellent care, but because of the insurance situation and a bunch of other things, we decided to go ahead and take her home. But I just think about, as a woman who's single, um, and as much as I would love to be in a romantic relationship, that's just, it's going to happen when it happens. But for me, over the past 10 years at least, the importance of platonic friendships, of sisterhood, the importance of community care has become more and more prominent in my life. And I can see it becoming more and more prominent in of the lives of the people that I love and care about, especially with the way things are going politically in the United States and around the world. Having a community that you can trust, having people that are in your corner, is more important than ever right now. And it is super, super important if you are a woman traveling, you know? So focus your energy on your relationships, on your friendships, because, as much as you love that man, it's important to have a backup plan. It's important to have your people. It's important to have the folks that, you know, no matter what happens, whether you're single, you're married, you're a mom, you're a widow, whatever, you've got people who can see you through these seasons of life. Um, but that said, like travel didn't just really like change how like I receive love from other people. It also changed how I see myself in romantic relationships. Um, there is something to be said for seeing yourself in the eyes of a lover that admires you, especially if you are rare. And by that I mean, as a Black woman who has lived in countries where there just are not a lot of Black people, dating can be really fun. Dating can be like it can be really fun and also really eye-opening because there's something to be said for listen, I'm all about Black love, okay? Both my parents are Black, my brothers are Black, I've dated Black men, right? That said, when you travel well, let me back up, let me back up. Let me bring it back home. As Black women, I feel like we've kind of been bamboozled. Black American women. We have been made over the years to believe that we are not um, desirable in some ways, right? Like, I mean, of course, now we have folks like Olandria and so many other Black women who are being loved out loud. But I tell you what, if I had had that type of representation when I was in my teens and 20s, I would not have gone through so much of the, um, you know, insecurities that you face as a Black girl, especially if you're a Black girl that goes to mostly white schools, right? You're a Black girl that is interested in different things where you're just one of the few. Like I was a gymnast as a kid. I did capoeira in college. Like there were not a whole lot of, you know, Black people in those sports. There were not, right? Like where I was anyway. And now I know the history of capoeira. I know that it's Afro-Brazilian. So in Brazil, of course, you would see plenty of but I was doing capoeira in Florida. Like, it was diverse, but there were not a lot of Black women. I would say that I was probably the only Black woman in my capoeira school. So there's we all know there's this narrative that we get here, but I'm telling you, when you leave sometimes it really does take just changing your zip code to see how appreciated you really are. And I mean, this happened just like in Hawaii. I had left my hotel to go down to the beach. There was a little beach, like a little beachfront area, in front of my hotel. So it's like the hotel, and then there's a street, and there's like this little alleyway you walk down, and then you like walk up some stairs, and there's the beach. And there were all these people there. There were like people with their kids, and it's very family friendly. There were some guys there teaching, like they were giving surf lessons and stuff too. And it was great because it's Waikiki, so like the waves are not very big at all. So it's a great place to learn to surf. So I get down there and I had brought my little, my little beach bag and my water and whatever. And I decided to go and sit down under a fallen tree. Like you know how on like some beaches they have like these trees that have turned white because of the ocean water. And so I'm sitting down under this tree and it's like a little bit of shade and it's beautiful. The ocean breeze is blowing, the sun is out. I'm watching people play, like the kids play in the sand and get in the water. And, folks, like I'm watching the surfers like kind of far out in the distance and some of the catamarans and yachts and boats. It was stunning, stunning. Okay. And I'm journaling a little bit and just chilling. So I was there for about an hour. And then I get up, get my stuff to leave. And as I'm putting my sandals on, I hear this voice say, "Oh, you didn't get in the water? You decided not to get in the water?" And I look around, there's nobody around me, and there's nobody, like, looking. You know how when people talk, they're gonna look at you, right? And so I look up, and there's this guy that's, like, standing at the railing of, like he's, like, on some balcony at the top of this building. And I was like, "No, decided not to get in the water right now." And he's like, "Oh, okay, where you from?" And we go through the pleasantries and everything. And he's like, "Well, we got some cousins from over here that are coming out. They're gonna be out here in, like, a day or 2. Wait, what hotel you staying at?" He's like, "Are you staying here? Are you staying here at this hotel?" I said, "No." Because, "What do you mean? I literally just met you 5 minutes ago. Why would I tell you where I'm staying? We're not playing that game." But I say all that to say, it was a moment that reminded me that just because not even just because, let me rephrase that because that sounds it was a moment that reminded me that I'm fine. You know what I mean? Like, sometimes you need those moments where even if it's not gonna go anywhere, like, it's not going anywhere, but just having I guess, kind of like the ego boost of someone being like, "No, what you doing? Where you going? Where you at? Like, hey, where you staying? Like, I wanna hang out," you know? So, it was a cool moment, and he was a local. Like, he was not somebody from somewhere else. He was a local and, Asian guy. And he was cute, but he wasn't like, you know the fact that he asked me within 5 minutes of meeting me what hotel I was staying at, that was a little sus, I have to be honest. And so the conversation was quick, and he was complimentary and kind, but that was it. But, like, it's little moments like that that kind of remind you, "Oh, maybe it's not just where I'm at. Like, maybe it's not me. Maybe I just need to get out of the areas that I'm used to. Maybe I need to stop hanging around men who actually hate me and go be around, men who appreciate what they see." Um, I remember when I was in Korea, dating out there actually, dating out there was one of the best experiences I ever had. The men were gentlemanly and they were kind. They were opening doors. They were, the hand at the small of your back as they guide you into the room, holding your hand as they walk with you through the club, being very respectful. I remember there was one guy I met, like I was out with some friends and he made it very clear he was interested. He was talking to me, but he also talked to my friends. He let my friends know, "Hey, I would like to buy your friend a drink. I'm gonna take her with me to the bar." Like, he was very respectful. It wasn't just like "I'm gonna pull you over here and you're not gonna have." No, he made it clear, and it was just really I don't know, it's just really nice. I remember at the time, like, I was dealing with, like, New York dudes because I had moved there from New York. This is no shade to guys in New York, but I had had a variety of different experiences there, and then I get to South Korea, and okay, first of all, these little K-dramas, the K-dramas are one thing, but the men that you actually meet, please understand men are men no matter where you go. And the men that I met, they were kind and respectful, but they made it clear that they were interested. There was none of this weird, like, watching you from afar and, like, not wanting to touch you, and it was not like that. It was not like that. Um, but, like, I had a really great time, and it just some of those experiences, like, even beyond the romantic, like, I remember when I would go and visit Seoul, and even in Jeju Island where I was, like, some of the school kids, in the afternoons, you'd see them running around with their friends, running around the shops with their friends, and I remember being waved down by little, young Korean kids, like middle school age kids. They would wave me and my friends down. I'm with, other Black teachers, and they would wave us down, and then they would give us like little hearts, like, oh, my hearts, and we would give them little hearts back. And it was just like this sweet moment. The experiences that we have outside of the United States, if you're open to it, it can broaden your view of yourself, you know? Um, and that's what I like, that's what I want to see. I want to see more of that for us. Um, even here in Mexico, I have dated men in their 20s. I'm 42. I have dated men in their 20s here in Mexico. I have dated men in their 60s, right? I'm in that really nice sweet spot where I could date you or I could date your daddy. You know what I mean? And like I've had really great experiences here too. And it's just I don't know, man. I just really want us to see like that we really are the standard. What we're experiencing in the West, what we're experiencing here is not that's not all there is. And if you are open to, even if it's just a weekend trip somewhere else, whether it's Mexico or um, Portugal, or for me, even Hawaii, you can have some really you can have some moments where you're like, oh, okay. Right. I just think about that Erykah Badu song where she says, "It's been such a long time, I forgot that I was fine." Right? Like, come on. But, like, it's really sweet. Like, I've even gotten discounts. I've even gotten discounts on services for being kind, for trying to speak a little bit of the language, and being a foreigner, and being pretty. Listen, y'all, Black women, use your pretty privilege. Use your foreigner privilege, use your pretty privilege. The way that we are treated in the West, it doesn't feel like we have a whole lot of privileges, but once you leave, once you get out, honey, you are a pearl of great price. You are a rarity. You are, because there are not like, I'm telling you right now, in the condominium, the apartment complex that I live in, I don't see any other Black people here. I'm the only Black woman here. Um, when I was in South Korea, I could count on one hand how many English teachers I knew. We have to I personally believe that oh, excuse me. I personally believe that we have to I just ate before I started this, so please forgive me. I think that we have to use every tool in our toolbox, because of our positioning in society. Use what you have. If you have education, if you have connections, if you're the type of person that can walk into a room and charm the pants off, literally or figuratively, charge the pants off of, I can't believe I said that out loud. Charm the pants off of everybody, anybody. If you're the type of person that you never meet a stranger, if you have like wit, and you're smart and you're funny and you're rare and you're a Black woman in a space where there are no other Black women, or very few Black women, use that to your advantage. Use it to your advantage. I'm telling you, I have gotten discounts on services just for being nice and being different, and being warm and kind and pretty. Use your pretty privilege. Use it. Black women, you have it. I'm telling you. You just got to know where to go, you know? Um, and so that this is one of the main reasons why I push solo travel. This is one of the reasons why I think that, I mean, besides the political situation, right? Besides the danger that I feel like Black Americans are in when we stay in the United States and we don't expand our horizons. Um, just the beauty of experiencing love in all its forms, care. consideration, kindness, being treated like a full flipping human being in ways that we don't always get in the United States. I think too about the way that my mother was regarded when she was here. People would go out of their way to say buenos dias to her, to greet her because she's an elder. And I think in part also because she's a Black woman. People's eyes would light up when they see her, and that people were so welcoming and kind. And that is an experience that I don't believe that she gets in the United States. I know for a fact that she doesn't get that type of treatment in the US, but she received it here in Mexico. People were so reverent and kind and just like I remember the treatment that she received while she was in the hospital and how nurses would come to us and want to know our story, want to know where we're like want to sit and talk to us. I know that wasn't happening for everyone. Um, and so that's why I think that that's why I say solo travel, but just travel in general is just so important. You get to see how revered you are as a Black person, as a Black American person, when you step outside of your comfort zone, when you go to places. I know Glow talks about Southeast Asia a lot because that's where she is, right? I know that she's talked about Thailand and Bali and her experiences there, and several other places too. And, I can say similar in the places I've been, which is South Korea, Japan, Mexico, St. Croix, and uh, yeah, Jeju Island as well, Jeju Island, South Korea. There's something to be said, and you could also argue that Hawaii is a different country. I know Hawaii is a state, but the culture, the energy and culture is so different from the mainland. I'm telling you, it is very much like being in a completely different country. So I'm gonna count it because it's just different. Yeah, they speak English, but like, come on, the culture is so different from the States. So I'm curious for those of you who have traveled, like, how has it shifted your understanding of love? How has it shifted your understanding of community care? Do you have stories? I want to hear the stories. I know some of you that have been watching my videos are travelers yourselves. I want to hear the stories. How has travel shifted the way you view love in its many forms? I think, it's February 12th. I didn't even think about this actually, that it's so close to Valentine's Day. This is perfect. The timing of this is great. So yeah, man, hit me up. Let me know in the comments. And if you have questions, if you have questions about solo travel, if you have questions about moving abroad, if there are certain things you want to know, put them in the comments. Maybe I'll make a video about it. But if you don't know me, my name is Siobhan. I am a 40-something Black American woman trolling these internet streets, these social media streets, encouraging women to own their lives and continue to develop a sense of agency through solo travel, moving abroad, um, through not leaning into that people pleasing vibe that some of us have. Me, I am a recovering people pleaser, by the way. And I've made videos about that too. Um, a previous video about the people pleasing and how sometimes it comes out, right? And you have to kind of fight it. But anyway, that's my shtick, okay? And if you're into it, I would love for you to stick around. And yeah, I'll see you tomorrow.